Good evening. I call to order the November 13th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Berthoud Plan Commission. It's the tradition of the Planning Commission to start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Let's turn to the October 23rd meeting minutes before us for review. Are there any questions or changes, Commissioners, to the October 23rd Planning Commission minutes? If none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pond makes the motion to approve the minutes, and Commissioner Semidala seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay, and abstentions.
Her microphone.
We have 3 items for public hearing tonight. Thank you. Can you all hear me?
There we go. We do need to call the roll as well.
Okay.
Commissioner
you-
Filio? Oh,
Hold on just a second. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Is that better?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now
All
go
good.
ahead. Call the roll.
Alrighty. Commissioner Filio?
Here.
Commissioner Sigmund?
Here.
Commissioner Pond?
Here.
Commissioner Semidalis?
Here.
Commissioner Hoffmans? Absent. Vice Chair Smith?
Here.
Chair Anderson?
Here. Thank you. Okay. We have 3 items for public hearing tonight. So let me provide some procedural background before we delve into those. The members of the Planning Commission are volunteers, and like many of you in the audience, we are residents of Berthoud. Our duty is to review the application materials provided, hear public testimony, hear from the applicant, and then discuss the matters before us as they comply with the Land Use Code review procedures. In doing so, please note that the code and other regulatory prescriptions provide certain criteria for approval that we must consider. We have staff in attendance tonight to provide us with presentations of the agenda items. They also lay out criteria and parameters for approval, and they will answer the commissioners' questions. Once the staff has completed their presentation, if applicable, the applicant will be permitted to provide information about their application. After that presentation, the public hearing will be opened. If you intend to speak during the public hearing tonight, please sign in on the sheet. In front here, it's kind of on this little black lectern. When you do so, please provide your name and your address. We gain valuable input. So your input when you speak, your input's welcomed and appreciated. If you wish to speak tonight, you will be recognized by me. When you come to the lectern, please provide us with your name and spell any uncommon names so that the record will accurately reflect your name and your comments. We ask that you keep your comments relevant to the matter being discussed, and that we ask that you direct your comments to the members of the Planning Commission and not to the applicants or other speakers. You will have 3 minutes to speak. As stated tonight, we have 3 agenda items to be heard. To recap the process, note that the staff will introduce each item, followed by a presentation, and then, if applicable, the applicant will make a presentation. After that presentation, the public hearing will be open. Okay, to begin the more substantive part of our agenda tonight, the Berthoud Community Development Department staff will present the land use item on the agenda. This item is the Fickle Farm 5th filing preliminary plat. For our audience, note that the preliminary plat review is the second stage in a 3-stage development process. The first stage was the neighborhood master plan. So Senior Manager Planner, Ton Hildebrand will present the staff report on this item.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair and Planning Commission. Okay, so the first 2 slides really go over what Chair Anderson just went over herself, so I will make this as quick as possible. So as we have guests in the audience tonight, it's important to share an overview of the land development process. So here before you is a quick overview of the 4 steps that are included in a land application or a land use application. The first step is a pre-application meeting, and this is an opportunity for the applicant to receive and have discussion with staff, as well as some of our staff essentially, and 1 or 2 of our reviewing agencies like the Berthoud Fire District. We provide staff input and direction on the concept plan that is presented to us at the pre-application meeting, and then the application makes the decision from there whether they proceed with the application or not, and then they prepare their application. So that would be step 2, is then the application submittal. So based upon the feedback, application materials, reviewing our development code, comprehensive plan, and any master plans, they then prepare and submit that application. Staff reviews it for completeness, which occurs over a course of 7 to 10 days. And then the applicant has an opportunity, if there are any deficiencies, to remedy those deficiencies and resubmit essentially. Once the application is deemed complete, then it is scheduled for staff and referral agency review. The referral agency review period is about a 4-week period, with a 2-week additional review for staff to compile and then complete their own staff review of the application materials. The applicant then receives a staff review letter. They then have as much time or as little time as they would like to take to address all the comments in that staff review letter and referral comments, at which point they then resubmit. And they can go through subsequent resubmittals for as long as necessary until all referral and staff comments are addressed. At which point, if they are all addressed, it then moves on to step number 3, which is where we are today. This is the public meeting or public hearing. And this is, of course, as Chair Anderson pointed out, and we'll get into a bit more detail on the next slide, but this is where staff will provide a presentation, there'll be discussion and a vote. And then the 4th step is the post-approval actions. These are actions where there's special district notifications, any kind of development agreement or annexation agreements are then addressed, and then next steps, recording of documents. So there's a bit that does occur in that 4th step as well. So again, this is more specific than to tonight. So again, I will provide a staff presentation on this item, introducing and of course talking about how the application adheres to the development code and our comprehensive plan. Then the applicant will provide a presentation and they will give a little more detail on the actual project itself. And then at that time, the commissioners can ask questions, and of course we will address those, and then Chair Anderson will open it up for public comment. And as Chair Anderson pointed out, those public comments will be received 1 at a time, and each speaker will have an opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. Once that public comment is closed by Chair Anderson, it will then move into discussion and a vote by the Planning Commission. And that wraps up that general layout of our public hearing process. So on to the first item of the evening. This is Fickle Farm 5th filing. This project consists of 2 properties, Tract A and Tract B, totaling 14.5 acres, and is located south of Mountain Avenue at the intersection of Pyramid Peak Street. The Tract A and Tract B are currently zoned UR or urban residential, and this current zone district was approved by the board in November of 2024, so just recently. The property is designated urban residential on the future land use map. In addition, a portion of the 2 tracts is within the Mountain Avenue corridor, specifically the Berthoud East Character District, as denoted by the hatch marking on the map on your screen and in your packet. Per the Berthoud Trails Master Plan, 2 trails are planned within the area of the proposed project. A regional trail, as denoted by the dashed purple line on your screen, and a neighborhood trail denoted by the dashed orange line on your screen. The Fickle Farm 5th filing properties are adjacent to Pioneer Park, which here is a little bit hard to see, but you get the general idea. And the applicant is requesting preliminary plat approval to create residential development consisting of 105 townhome lots and 50 paired home or duplex lots. And as a reminder, and for those joining us this evening that are a little less familiar with the land division process, preliminary plat is the 2nd step in the overall process. Preliminary plat takes about 12 to 18 months to complete on average, and following preliminary plat, the applicant moves into the final plat, which includes completion of a development agreement. This step takes about 18 to 12 months as well to complete on average, and then the final plat is the step necessary to actually create the legal lots. Following final plat, the applicant moves into pre-construction steps and then onto building permits. So Fickle Farm 5th filing received neighborhood master plan and rezone approval, or in other words, completed step 1 in November of 2024. The approved neighborhood master plan includes 115 townhome lots and 50 paired home or duplex lots, as well as a pocket park. The proposed preliminary plat is consistent with the approved neighborhood master plan with 2 minor modifications. The first minor modification is the size of the stormwater detention area located at the curve of Pyramid Peak Street and Remuda Road. This detention area was expanded as a result of the preliminary drainage study to accommodate stormwater flows. The second minor modification is a reduction in the overall density in the development. The approved neighborhood master plan proposed 115 townhome lots and 50 paired home lots, while this preliminary plat request proposes 105 townhome lots and 50 paired home lots. The overall density has been reduced from 165 total lots to 155 total lots. These modifications do not change the overall layout of the development, road network, or lot configurations. And while the density has changed, a reduction in density is not considered a substantial change. Therefore, the preliminary plat is considered to be consistent with the approved neighborhood master plan. The Fickle Farm 5th preliminary plat application completed 4 rounds of referral agency review and staff review. This slide reflects those staff and agencies that received a referral request and are those typically assigned a review for each and every preliminary plat application the town receives. In reviewing the application materials, each reviewing party is expected to either confirm they have no concern or they provide comments and requested revisions based upon code requirements. Each subsequent submittal made by the applicant is then expected to address those requested revisions of that review. So in this particular case, all requests for revisions made by staff and referral agencies were adequately addressed by the 4th submittal, and therefore the preliminary plat was allowed to advance to the public hearing. Section 6 of the Town Development Code states that the town shall use the following review criteria, as seen in your packet and on the screen, in addition to other applicable provisions of the code to evaluate the application. In order to approve a preliminary plat, the criteria must be met. Staff finds that the Fickle Farm 5th filing preliminary plat request meets the preliminary plat review criteria. Specific details on how the project are meeting these criteria are provided in the staff report. So therefore, staff recommends Planning Commission make a motion to recommend approval of the Fickle Farm 5th filing preliminary plat to the Town Board of Trustees. And I am available for any questions. And also, before I forget, following my lead, Town Engineer Luke Sieber is here, and he can provide an overview summary essentially of the traffic impact study and address any questions you may have on engineering specifically. So any questions for me?
I have some questions. First of all, tell us a little bit about the drainage. Obviously, there's 4 detention ponds that are in this plat. So you mentioned that that was necessary. What, as far as the impact on the neighborhood, will there be a certain type of safety standards that are going to have to be employed so that, for example, children don't wander into the pond and get themselves in trouble? What types of standards surround maintaining it, making it safe? Can you tell us more about?
I can't speak specifically to stormwater drainage. That would be Luke's expertise. The applicant can also address questions you may have. So stormwater drainage or stormwater management is a requirement for every application. And of course, these are not ponds necessarily. They just manage stormwater flows. And then, of course, release. But I will let Luke and the applicant discuss more about the specifics on that. Since I don't want to overstate or understate for that matter.
So Lou, can you tell me a little bit about that then? What about safety? What about the maintenance? How,
As far as safety, the ponds will be dry and they have pretty shallow slopes. They're only going to fill up during storms. So, I don't really see safety as a concern. All the inlets would be graded, so they wouldn't be accessible by anyone.
explain that to me. I don't understand what you mean by that.
Like, it wouldn't be an open, pipe exiting the pond. It would be a closed outlet box with grates that need to be lifted open to access. And then, as far as maintenance, all of these would be privately maintained by the HOA or however the applicants.
Are there any requirements for fencing around these to reduce access?
There are not. And again, a lot of that is to Luke's point, is that these are rather shallow areas. And so, yeah, and they don't hold water for a long extended period of time, or deep water for that matter, I would imagine.
Luke, can you tell me if it's a 24-hour, 48-hour, over a certain amount of time, the drainage area drains out from a storm?
As far as state law goes, detention ponds are supposed to be designed for the 1 hour, 100-year storm runoff, and anything over that would have an emergency spillway or way to get on the streets or off-site safely without damaging downstream properties. And then as far as drainage, there is a 72-hour requirement for the 100-year storm. And then the water quality aspect, I think it needs to drain within 40 hours. So smaller storms will... The purpose of a detention pond is, these extended detention ponds, is to provide water quality for the stormwater release, as well as stormwater protection, sort of. So they're actually required to hold water and release it slowly, so sediment can be dropped out before entering the town's stormwater system, which helps maintain our stormwater system as well as improves water quality that's released from the ponds.
And can Luke and Madam Chair, if I may,
Sure.
there are similar stormwater or water quality features throughout the town of Berthoud. This isn't a unique feature. Where might be a feature similar to this that's constructed that we all drive by every day?
The rec center is a pretty obvious one on both sides of Bunyan there. You got on the north side, that whole area is the detention pond for the Vantage neighborhood. And then on the south side, adjacent to the homes, is the detention pond for all of the rec center property. Every subdivision has a detention pond similar to this, pretty much.
I was wondering why 4 of them, though.
So this one was a little different in that whenever in prior filings of Fickle Farms, some of them, I believe, were calculated within the basin for, I believe, Farmstead first filing. There's a very large pond southeast of there. And these 2 tracts were specifically excluded in the drainage report for Fickle Farm fourth filing, and said these tracts need to provide their own detention to hold water and then release it. And so it kind of daisy chains the release downstream so as not to overwhelm downstream ponds.
Can you briefly outline how these are going to be improved? Are they just going to be lawn? Is there going to be any bioswales or any other planting that help with water absorption? I'm kind of curious what the maintenance is. Is it just mowing, or is there some other plantings that are in these?
In these cases, I believe it's mostly just lawn, and then some ponds will have concrete pans that can be easily cleared, and then also the outlet structures are designed to capture sediment and be periodically emptied to keep water flowing and not block up any pipes.
The the addition of these retention ponds is that some of the reasoning behind the density changes in the neighborhood?
I would let the applicant
Okay.
explain that further, but I mean,
Okay.
presumably yes during the design.
Okay.
During the design.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would say yes, that is a fair conclusion, especially that larger pond, like I said, is at the curve of Pyramid Peak. If you refer to the neighborhood master plan, you'll see that there was a different layout, if you will, of the lots, and so that was modified and adjusted to accommodate that expansion.
Is it appropriate at this point to ask for Luke to give us kind of his summary of the traffic study?
Absolutely.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. No, this one's actually pretty straightforward. With the early development, with earlier filings of the Fickle Farms development, they actually took into account these areas as part of the study, but they were required to provide another one with this submittal, and it pretty much falls in line with previous studies in that the infrastructure that was put in place with previous filings will accommodate this. The one long-term change that needed to happen was originally they called for a signal at County Line Road and Highway 56 long-term, but that has become a roundabout, which is adequate and is being installed by the Farmstead second filing project. The only recommendation they provided in this study was to lower the speed to 35 miles an hour, which will need to be coordinated with CDOT because they control that. And the reason for that was I believe the turn lane lengths entering the westbound left turn lane going into the property would either need to be longer if the speed remained the same or lowered to 35, and then it would be adequate for servicing the number of vehicles turning in.
So that was Mountain Avenue.
Mountain Avenue, yeah.
And what's the speed limit east or west of there? Do you know?
So it kind of transitions to 40 right off of First Street.
Yeah.
And I believe it is 40 across the entire length of this property
Okay.
and turns to 55 right at the end. So you can imagine people are speeding up there, but
Yeah.
I was a little confused by in this study whether when you turn when you go down Pyramid Peak from Mountain Avenue, you have that curve, then the street that you turn into that goes straight, and goes and would go from there. I guess you're going east. It eventually, right now, it stops at one point, and then there's a kind of a field, which I know that area is going to be developed ultimately. But was the study based on that street ultimately going through? I think is that what street is that? Remuda? I'm trying to remember.
yes, the plan is for that to continue on all the way to County Line Road eventually.
And so the study was based on that happening.
I'm curious if you're talking about Welch Avenue.
Well,
Which, the one that curves down.
it curves down and then goes straight, and then right now, at
Not
one
seeing
point,
the map,
it
I can't.
stops and there's a field, and then after the field, there's another street. But I'd have to look at the map to show you, but
I can kind of.
I walked by it today because I wanted to make sure I wasn't delusional.
Yeah, so it is proposed to continue to Nebraska Avenue, or eventually.
Goes out to Dorothy eventually.
Or Dorothy. Yes, Dorothy, Nebraska South, and going east-west. Yeah, so Dorothy is where it'll end, I believe.
And the study was based on that happening already.
Yes, I believe. because Farmstead 1 has it going from the opposite way. So it goes from Dorothy to the west, ends in a field, I believe, directly between
Right.
where this property is. So, yeah, eventually that property, which has been in development review. Okay. So there's one next to it that's in development review that will extend that, and eventually this property would supposedly extend and connect it all.
And the reason I'm asking is obvious, which is logical. Obviously, if you have another outlet for up to Dorothy and then up to Mountain, it makes a big difference than if you base it on that not happening. So
Yeah, currently the study does not take into account. It takes into account the existing layout.
okay, so it doesn't take into account that happening.
Right. So it's currently showing like either going down to Nebraska and going east, or going north to Highway 56 or to
Okay.
Mountain Avenue and going east, or taking Welch or going around.
So even the
Street. So yeah, it doesn't matter that those aren't connected right now because they were not part of the.
so even the 2045 projections didn't take that into account.
No, because it's a local road, so
Okay.
The main concern for the traffic studies is the collectors and arterials getting
Okay.
these trips from these homes to the main roadways and then off to wherever they need to go.
So ultimately, though, then, if what we saw in the study didn't take that into account, maybe some of those maybe some of the numbers were a little bit higher than what they would be if that had gone, if that was going through, or if it went all the way through.
Yeah, presumably once that is completed, the numbers of movements at each intersection would get dispersed differently
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
in a better way.
No, thank you. It was very confusing to me. I was reading through it. I couldn't quite, because on one of the figures it shows that going through. It was figure 8 or something. And then, but I couldn't tell from reading the traffic study whether they were taking that into account or not.
Since it's a local road, it's not as important as the connection to Mountain Avenue or First Street, where if you want to go east or west, those are the roads you'd want to be on. And if you want to go south along County Line Road, you can go down to Nebraska and get over as is. So
Any other questions about the traffic study for Engineer Luke? Okay. Any other questions for Ton? Excuse me, Ms. Hildebrand.
So the one, I do have a question, and it's maybe just clarification, but as I look at the requirements, and I know I'm maybe jumping ahead here, but I read in here that the comprehensive plan states that the dominant land use in the urban residential character district will be a mix of residential housing types with non-residential uses to support the neighborhoods. That was number 6. And that the Fickle Farm filing does not include commercial component, which supports the concept plan for the Berthoud East Character District.
Let me, you were talking about the
Yeah, and I
evaluation
know
of one of the criteria?
Yeah.
Was that on page 6, I think? As I recall?
Yeah, page 5.
Page 5, okay.
Page 5 or 6, yeah. It was number 6. And I just maybe just for clarification, is there a commercial requirement there, or?
No,
Okay.
there is not a commercial requirement along this section.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm reading ahead. Because if I'm not mistaken, in this particular character district, the commercial, I think, is mentioned as being closer to County Line Road, and that those commercial uses would support these neighborhood components, but commercial is not required along this portion of Mountain Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just wanted clarification.
Yes, that's fair.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Reading too deep.
Okay. And with that, I would ask the applicant to please make their presentation.
Hello, my name is Kristen Turner. I'm with TB Group, 444 Mountain Avenue. Before we start, did you have any more questions about the detention ponds? Answer them before they escape your mind, or does it all make sense now?
Yeah, I think I mean, from my perspective, I think I just had the density question.
Okay.
If that's what was causing, because there was quite a flip there
Yeah.
between townhomes and, duplexes, and trying to understand what was driving that, and then obviously the density reduction.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. You know, we do some high level engineering as part of the neighborhood master plan, but then when you get to preliminary plat, we do real heavy engineering. And so sometimes you get into it and you find, okay, we're going to need a little bit more space, or the grading of the land is naturally breaking this way or that way, so we need to move a pond this way or make it a little bit bigger. But so that's the difference that comes between neighborhood master plan, which is more of a conceptual look and high level engineering, versus preliminary plat, where we're doing the actual engineering of the site.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we'll jump into it. Thank you for your time tonight. We're here to talk about Fickle Farm preliminary plat. We do have our entire team here with us tonight. So we have Kurt and Chad with Trumark Homes here. Justin Beckner is here from Civil Works. He is our civil engineer. And Caleb is here with Fox and Tuttle. He is our traffic engineer. So they may or may not come up depending on the questions that you have tonight, but we will be available for anything that comes up. All right. So just to get started with where we are in the world, this property is located just south of Mountain Avenue and north of Pioneer Park, and it's part of the existing Fickle Farm neighborhood. We're here tonight to discuss the preliminary plat, and this is the last tract of the Fickle Farm subdivision to develop. It's approximately 14 acres with urban residential zoning, and it has always been envisioned for residential development. This plan proposes 104 townhome units and 50 duplex units. And then this is the same map. We just put a pink boundary around the portion of this property, since it is part of a larger community that is part of this specific plat, for your reference. So the plan proposes a mix of townhomes and duplex units, with the townhomes being located closer to Mountain Avenue. You'll notice that the duplexes are located closer to the county parcels and the existing homes, so a little bit more south and east. We are proposing 2 pocket park areas. One is proposed as a more active pocket park, and that is, you guys can't see my mouse, can you? You cannot. Okay, so the pocket park that is farther to the east, that is our more active pocket park, where we're proposing play equipment and things like that. And then if you look right in the middle, the central green space on the south side of Welch Avenue, we are proposing some park amenities there as well, and those are all planned to be more passive. So we've got Adirondack chairs and permanent cornhole and things like that. So a little bit quieter over in that area. We are proposing a low water landscape for the entire development and have integrated more shrub bed plantings along the parkways of this subdivision. Along Mountain Avenue, we're using large planting beds to create year-round visual interest and buffering as well of the regional trail, so that we have additional planting in that area. As Ton mentioned, the preliminary plat is very similar to the neighborhood master plan. So if you put the two side by side, they're going to look pretty similar. We do have a reduction in density, and we did have a little bit of a reconfiguration of space to account for that detention area. So this map, we grade back all the buildings for you, and really we just wanted to be able to show you where all of the parks, open space, and trails are, so that they pop out and they're a little bit easier to see. Fickle Farm was a master planned community, so it was looked at as a whole in terms of how all of the various park spaces would work. So you'll notice that Pioneer Park is centrally located within the subdivision and was intended to serve this entire area. With this plat, we'll be extending the neighborhood trail from the park up to Mountain Avenue, and then the regional trail is proposed along Mountain Avenue to be in conformance with your port plan. We do have, you'll see those light green lines that are in there. This is our detached sidewalk system as well. And then the blue dashed line that you see next to Pyramid Peak, that is the extension of the neighborhood trail. And then the yellow line along Mountain Avenue, that's the regional trail. So 3 different types of pedestrian movement corridors. It ends up being just under about 2 miles of pedestrian network that's added within this really small portion of the neighborhood. So we think it's a really great benefit. We're using those to help connect the open spaces and pocket parks that we're providing as part of this plan to the larger community as well. The subdivision identity elements, primarily they were addressed as part of the overall community, but with this portion of the subdivision, we committed to doing an additional pocket park, and so that is what we just talked about. We have those 2 pocket park areas actually that are addressing the subdivision identity elements. So there were a couple of questions that came up last time we were here for neighborhood master plans, specifically from the Planning Commission. And so we just wanted to talk about those right off the bat, bring you some responses to your questions. One question was, what is that interface between the townhomes and Mountain Avenue going to look like? So we did put together a cross section for you. The trail area that you see there, that is the regional trail. So that will be a 10-foot concrete walk that runs along Mountain Avenue. And as I mentioned earlier, we are proposing really large landscape planting beds within that parkway area. So you're going to see planting. It will be limited in height so that we're making sure that we're maintaining good visibility for people and cars. But we are proposing planting in that area, so it'll look a little bit different than your turf grass tree lawns. It's going to provide color in the summer, visual interest in the winter. It serves as a little bit more of a buffer for those people using the regional trail in that area. It just creates more of a sense of separation. And then as we move to the south, you'll see that there is a more traditional looking, you'll see your trees and some private yard landscaping as well. So it'll be a more heavily planted look along Mountain Avenue than you're traditionally used to seeing. Another question that came up was about how parking will work in this subdivision. So you have a technical chart in front of you. I won't go through all of the details, but it shows how everything is calculated. And the takeaway from this is that the required parking for this subdivision is 246 spaces. We are providing 352 spaces. So that is 106 spaces above and beyond the requirement. In addition to that, we did not include any on-street parking as part of any of these calculations. So that is additional parking that is available on top of the 352 parking spaces. And we were very intentional about taking these visitor spaces and extra parking spaces and distributing them throughout the site. So we have 8 different parking areas, with a handful of spaces here and there distributed throughout the site so that they're easily accessible for anyone that might be visiting folks. And then we're going to wrap up. Luke went through traffic, so we'll be available to answer more questions if you have that, but I'm not gonna take your time to reiterate everything that was in the traffic report. But we'll wrap up with just the overall plan. So again, this is the final phase of this overall master planned community. We will be providing 2 different product types for Berthoud residents. These are product types that we don't have many of in town. So it really is a great opportunity to provide new product type, product diversity in housing, price points for residents so they have some more options when they're looking at housing needs here. We are providing a couple miles of trails within the overall subdivision for folks and some new parks as well. Let me get to my notes really quickly, make sure I didn't miss anything here. The plan is in conformance with the municipal code as well as the approved zoning. It is in conformance with the comprehensive plan, and it's also consistent with the approved neighborhood master plan. We always like when we get to the final stages of a subdivision. It's just exciting to see a subdivision kind of finish. You know, those last pieces, it takes so many years to see these things come to fruition. So it is a plan that we're excited about, and we're excited for the community to kind of close out all of their development and just be able to enjoy the product type that would be provided and all of the amenities as well. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Can you tell us again where the Pocket Park is going to be?
Sure. So there's two areas. So the green square that you see kind of over in that eastern area, you have duplex lots facing it.
Here? Okay, right there.
That's going to be our more active Pocket Park. And then when you move to the very center of the site, south side of Welch, that green area that you see there, that's our more passive Pocket Park.
Okay.
So they're distributed throughout the site. They're not all just in one location, and we've kind of separated the uses because they're small spaces, and we want to get all of the components into them, but we also want to make sure that it's a nice park feel, and we felt like we needed to pull some of those amenities apart from each other.
Makes sense.
Is there intention in either of these parks, Pioneer or these Pocket Parks, to have like some events of some sort, leagues for sports, that sort of thing? And has that been considered in like traffic if it is going to be used for that intention?
So pocket parks won't be programmed. Those are smaller, and they're really intended for nearby residents to kind of be able to spill out their front door and have somewhere to land and have some outdoor space. Pioneer Park is a town park, and I'm actually not sure how that park is programmed, so Ton might be able to help with that. But if it's programmed, it's already part of the town system. I'm not sure if they have like planned soccer games out there.
I think they have soccer leagues there, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I actually do not know that information. So Keith Knoll, their Public Works, would likely be a good resource for that. And even through, I think, our Recreation Center, Amanda Gustafson may be able to address some of those questions about potential leagues.
And most of the parking is on the, we can't see it here. Most of the parking is like over here.
Yeah, you can
For
see
that
the lot
Pioneer
kind of
Park
in the southwest
here.
corner there. So to your question, because I know you mentioned traffic, if there is existing programming for that park, which there likely is at least some since it's a town park, any traffic counts would have captured that as well. That would have been incorporated into a study.
Yeah, right there.
It's all an existing condition.
Yeah, it's kind
You bet.
in here. And when they play soccer, they're all down in here. So. Sure.
Sorry if this was on the parking slide and I missed it, but the townhomes all have garages. Is that
2-car
correct?
garages.
Okay,
Yes.
so each townhome has a 2-car garage.
Every unit out there has a 2-car garage.
Okay, and it looks like the road on the northern edge of the tract, these are all like going to be like rear loaded, correct? So the properties facing Mountain Avenue, their like front door is facing Mountain Avenue.
Correct. So everything that we're proposing is alley loaded.
Right.
So you'll have front doors that are either facing right of way or they're facing green spaces.
Okay.
Let me expound upon that a little bit. I know there'll be an alley. I get that. But how long are those driveways? Because I've seen in fourth filing that they're not very long, particularly if you have a truck. So will it be similar to that?
So we have planned this development. You kind of do one or the other. You plan to have a full driveway or you don't. This is planned not to have a full driveway. So we did not include any driveway parking as part of our calculations. Our calculations include garage parking and visitor parking that's planned. And then again, above that, but not in our calculations, is the on-street parking. So the intent will be that folks are either parking in their garages or they're using on-street parking, or they're using the parking spaces that are provided.
Not the basically little bitty driveway that's kind of like a ramp up into the garage.
We won't have a full-length driveway.
Okay.
Correct.
Will they be similar in length to what was in Farmstead, I guess, Fickle filing 4, right?
I am not familiar with Fickle Fourth, so I can't speak to that.
Just wondering. So what you're saying is that the idea is that the people park on the street or in their garage, as opposed
Yes.
to outside of their garage.
Yes.
Other questions, commissioners?
No.
Ms. Turner?
Do any of these like fall under affordable housing, or is this
So they're not affordable housing. There's technical standards for what qualifies as affordable housing. So what we would say is because it's a different product type, it's going to have a different price point than you would have for like a traditional single family detached home. So it does provide diversity in price point within the community. And that's one of the steps, one of the components, right, of providing more housing and diversity in price point. There's no one solution for, you know, how to get to more affordable housing, but that's one of the pieces, is to say, well, we have this different product type, we can sell it at a different price point, and that opens up the market for people that are in different phases of, I call it the housing life cycle. I made it up, but you know, you've got folks that graduate from school and they might need one kind of housing, you know, or they're just starting their family, and you have folks that have families and need a different kind of housing, and maybe you have folks who are also starting to their children are grown and they're ready to downsize into something like a duplex. So it's just one piece of the equation that requires multiple components to address those items that we've all been talking about along the Front Range.
Other questions, commissioners, of Ms. Turner?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, if you haven't signed up to speak and you would like to speak, please come up now and put your name and your address on the little white paper here on the black table. Anyone not signed in that wants to? Great, thank you. So no one right now. Well, I'm going to open the public hearing. With that, I open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak? Okay. Having no one come to the lectern or signed in to speak, I will close the public hearing. Okay, commissioners, now is our time to deliberate with regard to Fickle Farm 5 preliminary plat.
Can I just ask a question to staff on the actual plat process? So obviously this is preliminary plat, and usually final plats come back to us. We have been considering code amendments and recommended a code amendment that would allow final plats to not come back to us as long as certain standards are met and they're in compliance with the preliminary plat and there's no increase in density. Has that passed? So I know it says in the staff report this would come back to us, but I guess I want to be clear on the record. If that passes in between, would this be eligible to have that fast track process applied to it?
So that is a really great question. So the recent code amendments were adopted just last week.
Monday.
Oh, that was Monday. Oh my gosh, that was Monday. And so they will go into effect on December 11th, if that's correct, just right about December 11th. So technically, I believe, and Anne can correct me, that at the time, since they will be making, well, this is tricky. So they've already made their final plat application. So technically, they've made it under the old or the current code. So I believe then that they would have to follow the current regulations, so it would come back to you.
Okay.
Had they made an application following the adoption and then the effectiveness of the new code, then they could potentially, they could have gone under that route. But they're already in the review process for their final plat.
Good question. My question, just as a procedural question, if they would have filed for their final plat after the code amendments went into effect, could we at this point request that it come back to us if we thought that it should?
I do believe, yes, that is well within the Planning Commission's right, is that if you say at preliminary plat you saw an application or a project that you desired to see at final, I believe you could make that request that it come back.
And just remember, though, because our town attorney had indicated that final plats aren't legally vested unless they're heard by the town board of trustees. Final plats will no longer be heard by the planning commission. They'll go to the town board of trustees
Directly?
in the future.
Okay.
Right. So if a preliminary plat has many outstanding items, you can make the recommendation to the Board of Trustees with your recommendation for the preliminary plat that the final plat go to the Town Board of Trustees for hearing.
So we would recommend that it would go to the town board for hearing. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I understood what the
And-
procedures were.
And we will help you through all of that as we're shifting and moving through all these changes.
Thank you.
Okay, and not to overcomplicate the same thing, but is it, I know they've already filed for the final plat, but is there a way, if they felt it was going to be more expeditious, that they could take that back and refile after December 11th when the new code is in place? I just want to be clear to the public. If there's a chance they won't come back, I want to make sure that's clear on the record and that it doesn't get confusing so anybody here isn't surprised by it.
Yes, we would happily accept that they want to withdraw their application, wait, and submit for that administrative process, also knowing about that vesting. So that is something that the applicant would have to weigh. Do they want the vesting? Do they not want the vesting? They would have to weigh their outcomes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion with regard to this filing, this application?
I understand the desire for the alley loaded garages, and I think in most circumstances it works very well. I am still concerned about the front doors facing Mountain Avenue, and I did really appreciate the applicant's representation of the cross section of what the spacing would look like between the townhomes and the regional trail and the actual road. I'm wondering if there's anything else, and I know because we have to coordinate with CDOT on the speed limit, just wondering if there's anything else we can do to make that corridor safer, whether that's signage or, yeah, I think that's just a concern of mine, looking at the safety of that area for pedestrians and for people utilizing the front of their townhomes.
Did I see on the exhibit that you had, so there was, when they did the cross section, there was one skinny little line.
Yeah, could we see that
Is
again,
that is that a
would that be
fence?
possible?
Okay, so it is fenced in front.
It's a fence, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to ask that at the time, but I didn't want to.
And yeah, what's the height of the
I'm glad
fence?
you brought that up because I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it looks very
I mean,
tiny.
in a plan, in a profile section, it's a little hard to tell. I just wanted to clarify. I thought that's.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that would.
I would entertain you coming back and answering
Okay,
the question.
thank you. All right, the skinny thing is fence.
Yeah, so over kind of by the purple
Yeah.
fluffies. That's.
Oh, it is right here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I know cross sections, it's hard to tell what things are sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we are proposing fencing. It would be a 4-foot fence. So it's not super tall, but the idea is to keep everything open along that corridor as well. We don't want to create visual barriers, but it will serve as a barrier, right? Especially for folks that are using the regional trail, there'll be a clear delineation between what is public space and what is a private space. Something that I didn't mention, so a typical, if you were to take, well, there's two things. First, in the urban residential zone district, we are required to have alley loaded product, and there is no option for front loaded product in the UR zone district. So that's one component of it. It's a technicality that we have to do. It comes down to the character you're trying to create as part of that urban residential. It's a little bit higher density. It's a slightly more dense product type. And so we're really trying to get front doors on those roads. It creates a different feeling, a different atmosphere than when you have those curb cuts with driveways and garages and things like that. So there's an intention behind it to create a different type of character and feeling. But
yeah,
in a
normally
traditional,
I would agree with that, but this is not a typical road. This is a highway, and it's
You're
labeled
right.
as a highway,
It's-
which is a little bit different.
it's not a typical road.
Yeah.
And so a standard like townhome, for example, and Ton is going to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I feel like a front yard setback is 10 feet for alley loaded. And you are? It's always trouble when we try and remember bulk standards off the top of our head. But it's pretty small. So a lot line would typically go all the way up to the right of way. And then your house would be set back 10 feet from that. We understand this is a bigger road, and we have anywhere between 40 feet at our tightest point up to about 56 feet. You know, mountain in that area, the right of way kind of undulates. It gets a little bit bigger and a little bit tighter. So we are providing significantly greater distance than you would A, be required to, or B, just typically see with this type of product. Because again, the goal is to pull this product closer to the roads intentionally. So we do have it set back to account for the fact that this is a busier road.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, the intention is to reduce, provided the state approves it, to reduce the speed to 35 miles per hour in this
Yeah, but
section
as
of that
as Luke
correct?
mentioned, like east of here, the speed limit is like over 50, so it changes really quick in this area. And like I totally, I think that changing the speed limit will help. I just want to be aware that might not be an immediate. Yeah,
We may need some enforcement for a little while.
Yeah.
to do that.
And some of those signs that you're
yeah.
going this fast.
yeah,
I like the idea of the fence because I think of a child running out
yeah.
the front door. You know,
Yeah.
I like the fact that fence will be there. If nothing else, they'll hit the fence, but they wouldn't go out in the street.
And I do like the idea, the character of not turning your back on Mountain Avenue, right? It is a gateway into our downtown area, and I think that was the plan with a comprehensive plan, is to have it face and create that character along the corridor.
Mm-hmm.
But that fence was, sorry, I meant to ask that a while back. I figured that's what it was.
I'm glad you asked because I didn't even think to bring it up.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm like I didn't even see it the first time because I have such bad eyesight. So I'm glad.
And while we're looking at small details on this picture, there's like a white rectangular thing on the road here.
I see.
Is this like
That's
is this
just that you'd see the curb behind it.
curb behind it?
I
So
see what
when
you're
you're
saying.
walking down the trail or the sidewalk, you would get to a crosswalk eventually, and there would be a curb on the other side.
I see.
It's when these get drawn, they get drawn very technically.
I see.
Looks
And
like a
sometimes it
drop
looks a
FedEx
little
box
wonky.
or something.
Got it. Okay.
And Madam Chair, if I can provide just a clarification on two things. So the setback in the UR zone district for townhouses is actually 8 feet. So to Kristen's point, usually in the urban residential or urban districts is that you really want that engagement and engaging that street frontage. And so that's the ideal here because, as Sigmund pointed out, it's we don't want the backyards facing, it's nice to see this engagement rather than having backyards butting up to Mountain Avenue. And then additionally, we do have also fence height regulations and limitations on front yards. And so 4 feet would be the maximum height for any fence within the zone district. And then, did you want to add something?
Yeah, sure. As far as the speed limit, something else to consider is that CDOT did approve the roundabout construction just east of here.
Yeah,
So
to
they're
slow
not
it
going
down,
to
right?
increase
Yeah.
the speed to 55 just to go back down to 25. There's
Yeah.
going to be I wouldn't be surprised if the speed limit was lowered just due to that fact across from the First Street roundabout over there. I can't say for certain, but
About how
What is-
far is it between this area? Is it like a quarter mile or is it farther?
I mean, I walk it every day. I should know, but
You need to get your tracker out.
about a half mile
Half mile.
it's not that far.
Yeah.
along this frontage. Yeah.
And I guess the roundabout in itself should help slow down incoming traffic from the east. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate the context.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? Thank you, Ms. Turner, for coming up again and answering our questions. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion with regard to this application.
Do we need to go through criteria or no?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah, I
reminding
was
me.
gonna say.
All right, let's go through our criteria. Thanks for reminding me. You can tell I had a kind of a crazy day at work today. Okay, so let's go through criteria 1, and if you wouldn't mind putting that back up on the screen, Bella. We do have our sheets. Thank you, Bella, for that. But it's always helpful to see it up on the screen, particularly for our audience. Okay. The preliminary plat represents a functional system of land use and is consistent with the rationale and criteria set forth in this code.
Yes.
Yes.
You agree, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. The application is consistent with the approved concept plan and incorporates the town's recommendations and any conditions of approval.
Yes.
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 We have consensus. Good. Okay. The land use mix within the project conforms to Berthoud's zoning district map and preferred land use map and furthers the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan and the port plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Pond, I can't
Yes.
see you. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and to that, I appreciated your question and the clarification about, because it's written a little funny. You kind of read
Yeah.
that like, is it required to have commercial or not? So I felt better on this one confirming it is not.
Yeah, and the reason I knew where it was is because I read that a couple times too,
Yeah.
trying to interpret that. So, yeah, yeah, it was confusing. All right, the utility and transportation design is adequate given existing and planned capacities of those systems.
Yes.
Yes, we all agree.
Yes.
Mr. Pond, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, negative impacts on adjacent land uses, including but not limited to solar access, heat, dust, glare, traffic, and noise, have been mitigated and satisfactorily have been identified, and satisfactorily mitigated.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we all agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. There is a need for or desirability within the community for the applicant's development, and the development will help achieve a balance of land use and/or housing types within Berthoud.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimbalist?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I'll make sure I don't leave anyone out.
I need to speak up.
Okay. How the applicant has addressed comments received from the public during the public comment portion of the process. Do we feel comfortable with how they've addressed those?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So we then, I think, agree that the criteria have been met. And at this point, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to make a recommendation to the town trustees to approve the request for a preliminary plat of the Fickle Farm fifth filing. Plan Commission's recommendation is based on the findings outlined in the staff report that the criteria for approval found in section 30-6107 of the municipal code have been met.
Do we have Commissioner Sigmund made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Zimbalist seconds the motion. Ms. Manzo, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Pond,
Yes.
Commissioner Filio,
Yes.
Commissioner Sigmund,
Yes.
Commissioner Semidalis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes. So with that, the motion passes. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Turner, for your presentation.
I'm going to grab a water.
Thank you.
Go ahead. We'll give you a second. So while we have change in the guard, we'll take about a 2-minute rest here. I'm surprised we didn't have anybody. Yeah.
Didn't the other four get any?
No. Yeah, it was crazy for me today. I wrote an entire legal argument memo today, and then had 3 people have to have immediate state intervention on regulatory things. So like my mind is like, it's like going like 90 miles an hour.
I totally understand that.
Exhausted.
I
You know, it's just.
woken up
It's like
every 2
mentally
hours last night. so
Oh, with the
kinda
baby?
do, then
My son's
they-
physically exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
that time of year.
He's doing much better. I hope he's going to come see
3
me.
o'clock. 3 people
Like I
reached
said,
out
I
almost
lived by his
5
side
minutes
for 2
apart,
weeks, so
like, "This thing's not
he needed
working."
some time away from me.
And I'm like, oh boy.
You know, it's really hard to focus. You know, you're trying to focus so that you can solve the problem, right? And it's-
Gotta compartmentalize all of it or it's just blends.
Brian, nice to meet you.
All right, so I think we'll reconvene after our little,
Thank you. I
our
just
little
needed a
intervention
drink.
there. So the second item on our agenda tonight is the 3-mile plan for the town of Berthoud, and I believe Director Johnson from the Berthoud Community Development Department will present the staff report on these items. That item.
Yes.
It's 3 miles, so maybe it's items.
Yeah, I think we're still missing 2 of our commission
Oh.
members.
Oh, yeah, let's give them a second. Sorry, I thought they were back.
That's okay.
Give them both a minute. And those of you who have been here for a little while, like Abigail, recognizes this item.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking like we're coming up on my last year, my 6th year next year.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have to
Crazy,
celebrate
right?
that or what?
I know, not many people actually make it to year 6.
That's true when you think about it. Over the last several years.
Yeah. That's really...
Do we really have 2 2-year terms as a limit?
I think it's 2 3-year terms.
2 3-year terms.
Yeah.
Unless there's nobody who wants to take the
Yeah.
seat, then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can
Nobody
go for
wants
a
to
third.
see, then she
Right,
could
then
get
I
reappointed.
think it's just a perpetual.
I could just be here forever.
I think that's interesting. I wonder why they picked that time period. Must be some rationale.
I don't know, but I've seen a lot of people come and go.
We've seen a lot of change.
Okay, Director Johnson, you have the floor.
All right, Chair Anderson and members of the Planning Commission. This is an annual item that state statute highly recommends every community adopt. This is our 3-mile plan. The boundary has not changed. What changes are the inside bits and pieces. As you can see, we did add the River Trails annexation with the designation of suburban residential. We went ahead and we added the Harvest West designation with suburban residential. Other than that, the boundary didn't change at all. And so the 3-mile plan is something state statute again recommends that we go ahead and adopt every year. Because we didn't open up our comprehensive plan, really there's no reason to change that boundary. We don't go out 3 miles just because we decided to keep our boundary very compact. And then what we do is we file this annually both with Weld County and with Larimer County so that they understand what our plans are for future growth as well. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Short and sweet, thank you.
Can I ask you something that probably, sorry, it's not really related to the plan. So everything west of our boundary, is that just unincorporated Larimer County? Is there a different community that, I don't know what boundary is. I don't know who's west.
That's unincorporated Larimer County, and they have done a lot of development in unincorporated Larimer County.
Okay, thank you.
So, you know, I kind of look at like Johnstown, and I see them just marching their way through and taking over like prime properties and stuff like that. So like, if we wanted to annex in, and I guess this is more just a learning expedition for me, right? If we wanted to annex in anywhere on this map, what is the responsibility and how do you go about it? I mean, obviously someone has to want to be annexed in, right? It's not like the town can go out and say, well, you want to be annexed in, and so someone would have to want to be annexed in, right?
Correct.
And so like these developers, even like to the west, right, where they're developing, is there a reason why they don't want to be annexed in, or is it something we can entice them to be annexed in? And then what comes with that, right? There's a liability that would come with that, I'm sure.
So on the southern property boundary, we've entered into on our southern boundary, our urban growth boundary. We've entered into an urban growth, an intergovernmental agreement regarding our urban growth boundary with Mead. So we've agreed we're not going to cross that southern line and they're not going to cross the northern line. We've also provided a draft intergovernmental agreement language to recognize our line of demarcation with the town of Johnstown. I have not heard back from the town of Johnstown. They seemed cordial about that line in the sand. I just have to continue to, press them. Let's come to the table and agree upon that. We are also going to be entertaining an intergovernmental agreement update with Larimer County as well. The voters several years ago passed a referendum in Berthoud, or an ordinance in Berthoud, that says if you want to annex any property west of County Road 19, it has to go to a vote of the people of Berthoud. So that really is a hard line for the town of Berthoud, to go west of 19. To go north, that's really going into Loveland and Campion, and we're not interested. And then to go south, it's extending down towards Longmont and into Boulder County and the Meade area, and we're not interested, and we have that agreement with Meade. To go east, that's going into Johnstown, and we really don't have an interest in going any further east.
In that line you mentioned, like, and let's just talk about Meade, for instance. That line, is it currently unincorporated on both sides of that line?
Some of it is unincorporated Meade. Some Meade has incorporated up to that
the
line.
line?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So as development happens, let's say a developer in our boundary would go to Meade. Per our agreement, Meade would send them our way. And likewise, if a developer would come to us on the Meade side of the line, we would say, it's nice to meet you. However, per our agreement, our good neighbor agreement with Meade, you need to go and talk to Meade.
Okay.
Could I add something to that? There's also state statute and regulation on how and who eventually annex. So there are contiguity requirements that have to be met in order to annex. And so much of what's unincorporated within our growth management area, somebody, because of those state statutes and those limitations, if they don't have contiguity to the town, they likely then would not be allowed to annex at that time.
Oh.
The idea is that what's within the growth management area or the boundary eventually over time will become annexed. And so it's kind of like that. As portions are annexed, it kind of grows out, and then your likelihood to be able to get annexed increases.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Does the state statute also cover if you end up with an area that ultimately gets surrounded and you end up with a donut hole? What's the land area size that you could then forcibly annex?
It's an enclave, and if you surround a property on all four sides, you can force annexation.
Regardless of the size of the, okay.
And what's the reason to only want to go really like more west versus north or south or into Johnstown?
So the 3 mile plan is based on the service line. So it's usually 3 miles beyond where your water and sewer line are. And it's also based on where you really want to grow. And again, going east is bumping into Johnstown. Going south is bumping into Meade, and we have that agreement with Meade. Going north is bumping into Campion on the northwest. Going north is bumping into Johnstown and Loveland on the north, and then going south, there's still a nice fair space on the south, but we're getting into Boulder County, and we're already in 2 counties.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah.
Why not 3?
And Ton brought up a really good point about that. It's oftentimes referred to as a flagpole annexation, where you can annex up to 3 miles of a pole. So that could be a road right of way, a road, it could be a ditch right of way, it could be some kind of right of way as your pole in order to grab the flag. And so the flag could be a parcel of land, and back in that's in fact how Berthoud got out to I-25. in the late 80s, early 90s. So that's all of that out there that's colored on this map is in Berthoud. Some of it is in Berthoud, and it was captured by that flagpole annexation process. Johnstown, Firestone, Erie. It was a very popular activity in the late 90s, early 2000s to grow that way. A very aggressive growth pattern to get to I-25, to get to those major highway intersections.
On right of way, when you annex adjacent to a roadway that's not incorporated, do you go to the center of the right of way, or do you go to the far side of the right of way?
It depends. Usually you should take the full road right of way because that's what, if you're going to annex to get a benefit, you should be taking the full right of way. Sometimes municipalities didn't do that because they don't have staff to maintain a road. They're only going to take the right of way because they don't want to maintain that road.
So it's not required by state statute to go to the far side or to the center line of the right of way.
It may be now. I don't think that there's a requirement. I think it's more of a good neighbor policy. And Ton, you might have more information coming from the county sooner than I did. However, it's more of a good neighbor policy. If you're going to annex, you just take the whole thing.
Yeah, like Larimer County does only half right-of-ways. That's their preference.
Half right of ways?
Yeah, it's only to the center line.
And Berthoud has a lot of half right-of-ways still in Berthoud, where the north half or the south half is in one county or the other. We prefer now, and that's why with some projects, we will bring forward to say we need to just clean it up and you're going to take the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah, Illinois used to be center line, and then they moved to far side because it was all
Yeah.
over the map.
And it was funny because like when it would snow in Illinois, they'd plow one side of the road and the other side was a mess.
Yeah.
At least they plow them.
Well, yeah.
Do we have to make a motion on this, or is just a hearing
We do.
presented
We
again?
do have to do it. Let me ask you a question just because I'm interested in it. I know we have these areas that are designated as New Berthoud, a special district. Like we have with the First Street corridor and the Mountain Avenue corridor, we have kind of a certain vision. Do we have a vision outlined for New Berthoud as well?
Yes, and it's in the comprehensive plan. Yep.
I don't remember that. I'll have to go back and read it again. It's been a while since I read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago? 4 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to go back and look at it. Okay. Thank you. I didn't remember that.
Yep. There's a small mention of it.
Okay. All right, well, do we have any more questions, comments?
I think so.
If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval to the Town Board of Trustees of the proposed update to the Berthoud 3-mile plan as presented by staff. The recommendation is accompanied, oh no, that's it.
Second.
Commissioner
reading the wrong one.
Semadalis made the motion and Commissioner Sigmund seconded. Bella, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Sigmund,
Yes.
Commissioner Semadalis,
Yes.
Commissioner Pond,
Yes.
Commissioner Filio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes. Okay, so with that, the motion passes. And we are on to agenda item, actually, it's on my list, it's number 3, but I think here it's number 7 on our agenda. Okay. The third item is the adoption of updates to the Town of Berthoud Engineering and Infrastructure Design Standards and Construction Specifications. Say that really fast 10 times. And we have Director Johnson who will present this item as well.
All right, so we have Luke Sieber, the Development Review Engineer, and Tyler Carpenter from the Operations Department. They collaborated pretty heavily on the specs and standards, we'll nickname them. And by adopting the specifications and standards by reference, there are 2 areas that need to be amended. One, you just amended this in the chapter 30. However, this wasn't ready and I couldn't bring it to you when this wasn't ready. So all we're doing now is we're amending section 30-6102 to reflect the 2025 edition versus the old edition. So that's the only change we're making to chapter 30.
I object.
And then the only motion that you'll make here is we will put in the ordinance number there, but we're just going to put a slip sheet into the comprehensive plan that directs people to, rather looking at some of the discrepancies in the profiles for the roads, to direct them to the specifications and standards instead, because some of the profiles of the roads in the transportation plan, part of the comprehensive plan, contradict the specifications and standards. So we don't want that to occur any longer. So you are amending the comprehensive plan to put in the slip sheet, and you are amending chapter 30 to make that one change. And then Luke and potentially Tyler are going to just give you an overview of parts and pieces, widgets and valves, and functional engineering specification standards, which are incredibly important because they are how our municipality functions. And we give it over to the engineers to lead us through this if you have any questions. My part is done. I'm going to leave it to them now. Head on over.
The floor is yours.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This might be my first Planning Commission presentation at the pulpit here, so bear with me. Anne kind of ran through the big picture. I'll kind of run down a general overview of what we did. The last time the standards were updated was in 2021, and I think they were very minor updates to a 2018 version of the standards, and a lot of this round was major formatting for electronic use. There weren't previously any bookmarks or like clickable indexes, so the new engineering standards has a workable index that allows you to click to different chapters or sections or tables or figures, which makes it a very easy document to navigate, and typically it's accessed online, so the electronic accessibility is extremely important. And while that was the most substantial change, a lot of the other changes were changing references to outdated standards or outdated documents, incorrect jurisdictions in some cases, because I believe this the people who made this may have done this standards for a different jurisdiction and kind of missed a few areas where they put the wrong town name or fire district, for example. So a lot of that type of stuff. Punctuation, spelling errors, trying to condense or clarify things. The item Anne mentioned with the comprehensive plan, pretty much every time a development came through, they would have to ask me, where am I looking for the development? The comprehensive plan says one thing, these overlay districts say another thing, the standards say another thing. So we added a section in here to clarify, like, when you're developing in this area, here are the documents you will be looking at to design your roads. They'll still probably come to me, but that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I think that is pretty much the overall general thing. And then Tyler came on recently, within the last year, I believe. He's our water operations manager. So he looked through the standards, and a lot of the water and wastewater items were kind of not up to par with current standards. So he and our public works project engineer came in and coordinated a lot of the changes in the sanitary and water and wastewater sections. And then there were some minor additions and changes to the stormwater section, mostly updating references. We added a section for sump pumps because groundwater is a pretty big issue in town, and we want to have new developments direct it to the right areas now, instead of just releasing it over sidewalks, as you may have noticed in some older areas of town. Other than that, a couple standard detail updates just for construction plans, and some specifications regarding pipe bedding requirements, sidewalk thicknesses, just kind of confirming things that weren't necessarily clear in the old standards. So if you want to get any more in the weeds than that, feel free. I mean, we have a pretty captive audience tonight for this, so yeah, just let me know.
And if I may, this, looking at hundreds of pages of details, specifications, drawings, depth of pipe bedding, fixtures. This is, Luke started working on this when he was still at Baseline Engineering. This project carried over here. So this is a multi-year project that's now come to an end. And I know Luke will be happy that it is over. And it has been, it is a very detailed project. He worked on this on the weekends and in the evenings to get this here for you all. So it's, it will be good to have this finished, and it reflects a lot of diligent work that Luke and Tyler and Danny and others from multiple departments collaborated on, not in a silo, but working collectively.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will add those nights and weekends were partially due to procrastination, so sorry.
Well, thank you anyway. And echo what Stacy was saying. Thank you anyway for all your hard work. And you as well, Tyler. So once you all have reviewed it, does it go through any type of other review? Like is there someone else that has to review it in order to approve it, other than us and the town board? Is there anyone else that?
Like a second set of eyes.
Yeah.
Or third.
As far as the eyes, it would be like I went through it, Tyler went through it, our public works engineer went through it. There isn't like an outside jurisdiction or an outside engineering company that's coming in as a consultant to review everything. And a lot of that is due to the fact that these are pretty minor changes and mostly updates to references rather than a wholesale new document. This is just kind of trimming
tweaks,
and
is what you're saying?
little
Or
tweaks
tweaking?
for the most part.
I know I saw the stuff about manhole covers, was it? Yeah. Standard manhole.
Yeah.
Sanitary clean out. Scintillating stuff.
It
There's a
is.
lot.
It's important stuff.
You know,
Helps keep our sewers clean.
No, I know it's important. You know, and I do regulatory work, and some people tell me that sometimes they think what I do is boring. So I can relate, Luke. I get it. Right.
I have a question
Go
for
ahead.
Tyler. Tyler, I was told that the country of Israel reuses 95% of the water that they utilize in that country. They reuse it over and over and over. I don't expect Berthoud to be the same, but can you give me an idea of how Berthoud operates as far as reusing water for different?
Essentially, Colorado, we're a pretty drought-heavy state, so the next
Okay.
retreating it. But Berthoud is not reusing it for ourselves at the moment. But you do have an obligation to essentially put X amount of water back in for what you've drawn off the ditch as well.
So water that we use in our house and lawns and that sort of thing, the water, will it get treated again? And
So the water that you use that goes from your house will eventually make its way through the sewer collection system down to the wastewater facility, which is treated by us, and then it heads into the Big Thompson, which is one of them. Can't draw a blank on the other name of the ditch. That Amy ditch, I think, is another.
okay,
And then that'll essentially just go downstream to the next person who draws off that ditch as well, and they'll treat
I
it
see.
at their water treatment facility.
It's interesting that we wouldn't use it, we would release it.
There are water rights issues as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, anywhere in the West, really.
The Thornton Water Project line, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Essentially Thornton, the city of Thornton is taking water from northern Colorado and bringing it down to that. We want to keep the water up here because it's very limited,
right.
but water is scarce.
Okay. Thanks, Tyler, and well done, Luke.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
This is just a neighborhood question. In our subdivision, we have a trail that goes along one of these ditch companies' retention. And anyway, people have sump pumps, and they pump to the back of their lots, and the water runs over the sidewalk.
Anne's making a face. You might be getting people in trouble.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, wait, hold on.
What was your address?
Yeah, wait, hold on. But
She's making a note.
But, so people have complained about it because the trail gets slippery, right? And they were told to pump it to the front of the house where there's a sidewalk. So, I guess my question is, where do they pump the water? Where are they supposed to pump the water? I personally don't have that problem, but I know some neighbors that do.
Yeah, and that's probably a tricky situation for existing homes, and existing subdivisions would not be subject to the new standards necessarily. Ideally, they go back into a tract that has like a either open space or drainage. If there's a paved walk, usually what the best practice would be is to add like a sidewalk chase, which would be usually, the steel plates with like a kind of little mini culvert that allows small flows, which is what a sump pump would do,
Right.
out and downstream. And in a worst case scenario, pumping out to the front, we could allow a sidewalk chase that goes into the curb and gutter, but we want to eliminate as much water as possible from going into our right of way.
Is there a setback for the discharge line of a sump pump so they're dissipating on the property versus dumping at the lot line?
No, I think you can. I don't know offhand, but I believe you can discharge off your property all the way out.
Line.
Yeah.
My question's similar. I know of some situations. I guess my question is, in these new specifications and standards, it came from an older jurisdiction, was updated. Have we considered some of the environmental differences? I know that in Berthoud the clay is a little bit more. Was it bentonite? So moves a little bit more. As drainage again, water is such a beautiful, amazing, useful, and destructive thing. And are there new things? In the case that I'm thinking of, they had a gutter run down downspout, and then had it not daylighted, and essentially like 5 feet from the house, and it just essentially collected and caused the soil and everything to move. Like, is there any consideration in the new specs that like think about how berthed soil and environment are different?
Yeah, and a lot of actually the stormwater stuff references the Mile High Flood District, which is a pretty standard resource for a lot of jurisdictions, including Larimer County. I believe even Loveland and Fort Collins use them as references for their stormwater. But pretty much all drainage is based on the soil type, and the engineer in charge of designing the developments will take the soil type into consideration in terms of certain soils are better infiltrating. Some, like most of berthed, are clayey, which tends to collect water, and then when it dries out, it can expand, and that's why we get a lot of interesting road issues and things. And we actually do have some subgrade requirements for our roads that go above and beyond what Larimer County, for example, requires to try to provide a more stable base where we can avoid some of the issues that occur due to soils. As far as home building goes, that's a little more specific than what I look into. I'm looking at the overall drainage for the subdivision, and then once it gets into the house itself, as long as they meet the minimum floor requirements and have proper drainage, which gets certified by the engineer of record and reviewed by our building team, then they kind of meet the requirements. And yeah, as far as homes go, usually it's 10 feet at 10%, or like 1 foot of drop from the edge of house, and then generally it goes into some kind of tract or the street or pond. But, yep.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners?
No.
Okay, if not, then I would entertain a motion on this item.
I move to recommend approval to the Town Board of Trustees of the update to the Town of Berthoud Engineering and Infrastructure Design Standards and Construction Specifications by reference in Section 30-6-102 of the Berthoud Municipal Code and as an insert in the 2021 Comprehensive Plan.
Commissioner Smith made the motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
So Commissioner Pond seconded that motion. Ms. Manzo, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Semadalis,
Yes.
Commissioner Sigmund,
Yes.
Commissioner Pond,
Yes.
Commissioner Filio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes. So that motion passes.
Thank you again. Yay.
Thanks to both of you for being at our meeting tonight. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to our reports section. Staff, do we have new and exciting things, or even old and exciting
Thank
things?
you.
to report?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Yes, so on October 9th, Planning Commission recommended approval to send Chapter 30, the Architecture Guidelines and the Mountain Avenue Overlay District Guidelines to the Town Board of Trustees with approval. And on October 28th, the Town Board heard those recommendations and voted for approval with 3 requests for changes. And those requests were regarding environmental considerations, that a buffer zone be required between proposed developments and environmentally sensitive areas to ensure that the proposed development does not degrade the natural area. The side of the buffer zone shall be a minimum of 150 feet. That's what's in the current code. The town trustees increased that to 300 feet. So then the second, this was a change that staff requested at the second reading, is that in the suburban residential standards, with the amount of with the amount of housing diversity, there was a concern that the minimum lot width might not be able to be met, especially with a suburban detached house with a minimum lot width of 40 feet with some of those housing products. So a note was added to the table that indicated that lot widths may be adjusted from the minimums listed above to accommodate meeting the housing diversity standards with town approval. And then the other change is that during the preliminary plat and the final plat, both options for final plat, is that one of the criteria for moving from preliminary plat to final plat and then from neighborhood master plan to preliminary plat, one of the items is that the final plat must be in substantial conformance with the approved preliminary plat when proceeding forward with a traditional public hearing or with the administrative approval. For the purpose of this code, substantial conformance includes design adjustments made to meet any conditions of the preliminary plan approval and is determined as follows, and then all of the list. And then one of the items was how the applicant has addressed comments received from the public during the public comment portion of the process, and the town trustees wanted that removed. So that is no longer a condition for preliminary plat or final plat.
Interesting.
And then the other item is that the mayor is particularly curious about if we can have street lights further meet the dark sky standards by being motion censored and dim, not completely go off, but dim even further, and then be motion censored to go on brighter. And that's really not a code issue, it's more of a spec or standard. So Brian DuBois, the Sustainability and Economic Development Manager, is looking into that with Excel and Poudre Valley REA to determine if it's a standard that can easily be done or what technology and what the cost is for doing that. So that is something that did not get changed. However, staff is looking into that. So
Is there any concern there with like public safety if the streetlights are lower?
yes, so Brian will also be working with the sheriff's department on that as well, and there is a community safety component that they will be looking at. So good call there.
So from now on, our little criteria worksheet will be 6, not 7?
Yeah, take that 6.
Our criteria, well, just a minute. So then the town board on Monday of this week, since we were closed on Tuesday, then heard and approved all of Chapter 30, the Mountain Avenue Overlay District changes, and our design standard changes. And those will be effective somewhere, I believe they were published today or tomorrow. So that means 30 days from today or tomorrow they will be effective. So either December 10th, 11th, or 12th they'll be effective. We will go ahead and get them published though on our website, and they'll be linked in your e-notebooks. And as soon as they are up in total, Bella will send you confirmation.
So the website on the general page is updated. Your e-notebooks have not been updated yet.
Yep. So we'll get those to you. So if you'll remember, we will no longer have individual criteria for approval for land use cases, and instead we now have a more robust intent statements that every development, every land use now has to meet these intent statements as applicable, right? Some will be not applicable because it's dealing with a commercial development and this is a residential development. So yes, if you like what Bella put together for you tonight, then you will have those. However, the new staff reports after December 10th, 11th, or 12th, so moving into January, they will be longer because there will be more intent statements that we will have to discuss. So I don't know. Go ahead, Tom.
And I was going to say, there is going to be a period in time there come January where you're going to get a mix of both,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So
Go
the
somewhere like
applications that are currently
Yeah.
under review will still, so it's always a fun transition that we all will work through together. But for a while, you'll have both.
Yeah, probably for 6 to 9 months even.
Wow.
So, moving forward, then on December 11th, we will be having our dinner upstairs in Bine because there will be a land use hearing that evening. We will have dinner from 5 until 6:30. So, in the next week or so, look for a menu that will be provided to you, and you will just have to provide us with what your order is, and then we will go and get it. We will have it upstairs for you. It is not a potluck. You will just order off the menu and we will bring it to you. And then we will come down here and the hearing will start at 6:30. That way we won't feel like we have to be rushed. If you work and you can't get here until 5:15 or 5:30, that's okay. We just thought we wanted a little bit more time to be together. And then that way also we're not rushed to get down right at 6 o'clock. So the land use hearing will start at 6:30. So we'll want to make sure that we get it published on the website. And then on January 8th, we don't quite know yet if there is somebody that will be ready for a land use hearing on that night or yet. There could be maybe someone ready. And we will keep you posted on that. We will know for sure on the 11th. That might be a bye meeting where we don't have a meeting that night. Is there anything else? And just, right now I do want to give kudos to staff. There's a lot of hate right now out there being directed towards staff, being directed towards lots of other staff. You may have read on social media that I have abdicated my role as the community development director. I have not. I am still here. So
Fake news.
So just so we're clear, I take my job seriously, and so does the rest of staff. And we are here to serve the town of Berthoud. And if you ever have any questions about anything that you read or anything that we can do to be better, to be more clear, you will notice that the presentation this evening contained a lot more information, contained relevance regarding the open space plan and the trails plan, contained a list of the referral agencies, just the list. Again, we're wanting to be more transparent and clear about the process, not necessarily for you all or the town trustees or for staff, because you all understand what that process is. We're wanting to be transparent and clear so that the public understands a little bit more about what that process is. So if you ever think of something that we could consider to make it more clear, definitely we'd love to hear from you, because that is, we are advocates for the process. And other than that, I think kudos to staff for doing a great job. And thank you all for everything that you do for the town as well. And with that, we'll just look forward to seeing you. Oh, on the 11th, we will have a sheriff office will be present, as well as the town attorney will either be present in person or via Zoom.
Wonderful.
So this is
That's
gonna
great.
be fun.
It'll be a fun one. Well,
Thanks for the heads up.
I, for one, want to say thank you to staff. I think you guys do an incredible job, and
Yeah.
you have a lot on your plate all the time. I don't know how you keep all the balls in the air, so thank you for what you do. And I think we have to sometimes take what we read with a grain of salt. I have read things on social media, too, that are not very nice about the Planning Commission. So I mean, we have a job to, we all have a job to do, and not everybody's going to like us. Not everybody's going to like what we do. You know, it's part of being involved, you know.
Yep. Yep. And we're sticking to the code, and we're sticking to the vision that the citizens of Berthoud asked for in the comprehensive plan, and what the development community and the planning commission and the town trustees are asking, and what you're seeing. And you all are leaders and you're agents of change, and this is what we're doing. And so sometimes change is really hard, and so we need to just weather that all well together. And I love to see you all working together, and you're asking those great questions and holding the development community accountable, and you're doing a great job. So thank you for everything that you do.
F makes it easy.
Yes, you
Yes,
do.
and it really does. I mean, what you guys do and what you provide us makes our piece very easy.
Well, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm looking forward to having dinner with everyone.
Yes.
If my plane's late, hold dinner for me, right?
I was going to ask on dinner. My family would like to meet all of the wonderful people on staff and on the commission. Can they come just at the beginning to kind of just say hi and
Of
meet
course.
everybody?
Only if we can hold the baby.
Please come back. Oh man, what I would give. Yeah, they, my daughter asks me every Thursday, every other Thursday, where are you going? Like, I don't know how to describe this to you yet. You're 2.5. But she would love to meet all of you.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
When if you have anything to report or mention or discuss, or if not, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have
I
a
second.
motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Yay.
This was a lot faster than I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna
gonna
take longer.
I don't know why.
Yeah, because when I was reading through that engineering stuff, I'm like, oh, please.
So I'm